Hello, I'm Binzer Flynn, and welcome to the Flinncast. Gentlemen, good evening.
I watched Clone Wars in prep for tonight because I hadn't watched it yet. Picard's a little further out of my mind, but I remember parts of it.
Yeah, I just watched Picard a little while ago, and whew.
Had you seen it already, or were you just refreshing yourself?
I hadn't. I was going to watch it with Raina, but she's been so busy, but I only just got around to it like 2 hours ago.
Nice.
Completely fresh.
Oh, yeah.
I'm rewatching Star Trek Enterprise through this. I started before the quarantine, but I'm doing it as a way to get away from my computer for a few hours after sitting at it for 8 hours every day. And we finally just got to the Xindi War, so we're finally getting to the good stuff after 2 seasons of meh. So I really didn't like it when it came on, like when it aired back in the 2000s. I didn't like the step back in technology, like no transporter, no phasers, yada, yada, yada. But then I found when I rewatched it continuously, like episode after episode after episode, it's all on Netflix, then it's way better. I appreciate it more, I guess, now that I have watched it more than once.
I got as far as the Xindi stuff, and I got a ways into that, but I never got to the end of the series. I should go back and do that.
Yeah, so that would be season 3. So the season 2 finale is the Xindi attack Earth.
Right, okay.
Kill 7 million people or whatever, and then they go find them.
And it was 4 seasons, right?
Yeah. And the thing that makes me sad is that the 5th season would have been the war with the Romulans, which I thought would have been really cool.
Romulans are getting their spotlight now.
For sure.
Did either of you guys actually watch the first Westworld episode?
Negative. That is a Merida show.
Yeah, I'm still in season 1. I haven't finished season 1 yet.
Maybe if Juice comes on, because he watches it, I think, doesn't he?
I believe so, yeah.
Look what you did.
Speaking of the Dutchman, and the Dutchman arrives.
You just summoned him like Beetlejuice.
Yost almost got the chief to give up marble racing altogether the other day.
Oh, really?
What?
Oh, yeah.
He told him it was by a Dutch guy.
Oh, is it a Dutchman putting on those races?
Yeah. So the guys from Nijmegen, which I think is actually about, a half hour, 45 minutes from my dad's hometown. The name is actually the town name is very familiar, which means to me I've actually been there before. So, yeah.
I haven't heard of this before. Maybe nobody did since before the quarantine. So tell you guys, Carmine and Juice, tell me a bit about this marble racing.
So marble racing, it's exactly what it sounds like. It's racing marbles. So this guy runs a YouTube channel called Jelly's Marble Runs. He's been doing it for about 4 or 5 years now, from the looks of it, because he has video going back all the way to 2017. He does different things. So there's a rally league that he does where he basically builds a downhill dirt track and races marbles of different colors, which he puts into different teams and races them just like they were real people. There's also something called the Marble Olympics, where the marble teams compete in different events. So there's a funnel run where the marble that the last marble to go through the funnel wins. There's a couple of jumping events where they basically shoot them down a ramp, and then they jump a jump like they do in high jump, for instance. They do rally racing. They do relay racing.
This sounds a lot more involved than I thought it would.
Marbula One stuff is really cool in the fact that he has different tracks set up for each race with turns, chicanes, hairpins, and he's got a plan out for them. They do qualifying runs to see where they're going to start in pole position and not.
Wow.
And there's at the end of the track, he actually has a lift built that it could hold 4 marbles side by side and brings them back up to the top of the track. So they actually run progressive tracks. So when they hit that end where they hit the track to get taken up, is they hold their place effectively because the track's constantly moving.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's I like it because it's just not one run of the track. Okay, let's set up and run it again. It's just constantly in motion. So it's like X number of laps. So you watch marbles come out of the chute, hit the turns. They're like, oh, is this guy going to take it through the, is he going to take it through the straight through the?
So the videos, they filmed the race, and then they send it off to a guy in the U.S. I was reading in an article who has, I think, a master. He has a master's, some sort of medical administration master's in the U.S. He found this on Reddit. On the lark, took one of the videos and put commentary to it, posted it on Reddit. Yelly, who is creator of this, saw it and basically asked him to provide commentary for all his videos going forward. So it actually has like quote unquote live commentary as it goes as well.
There must be some people sports betting on this by now.
Oh yeah, they have odds pools and everything because he tracks each race from race to race and what teams are in the lead. They get points per race and where they finished. And it's interesting that now that I know he's Dutch, Jelly would be the proper pronunciation, just like Joost and Joop. The J is it's not Jelly's marble runs, it's Jelly's.
He's probably used to that. This must be very mesmerizing to watch. Like, how big are these tracks?
The average track is about 12 meters long.
Okay, that's cool. I haven't had a chance to check it out, but I've been meaning to, and maybe next time there's a big race, I can join you guys. Because I mean, this guy must have been like when the sports got canceled for the pandemic. He like, alas, my day has come.
That's what I've been thinking this entire time.
Yeah, so basically, when they started canceling sports everywhere, a lot of the sites and sports networks started focusing on oddball sports, and Yelly's Marble Ones was one of the things that they focused on. And since that time, apparently his YouTube growth and everything has exploded exponentially. They do qualifying for Marbula 1 on they released the qualifying video for Marbula 1 on Saturday afternoon, and then they released the actual video of the race on Sunday. So it's pre-taped, but the way they do it, it feels like it's live. It's actually it's completely mesmerizing. Susan, I think, showed me, and we sat down and we basically binged the whole season from race 1 to not the last race before this one in like the space of an hour. And we were completely enthralled.
Even watching the qualifying runs is great because you get to see the track and how the different marbles react to the track. So you're like, oh, that turn's going to be a problem. Look at the way they bounced off that turn. They hit it really hard. So when the race starts and you see the marbles go through, it's like, is he going to take that turn like this? Oh, yeah, he did. Oh, my God, he's catching up. Yeah.
This does indeed sound like something Chief would love.
Oh, Chief is absolutely engrossed in this. As I said, it's replaced his Formula 1 for the moment.
Whatever gets us through it, eh?
Yeah, and the great thing for me is that it's like 16 to 20 minutes, depending on the track and how fast the marbles are going. Well, I suppose if you cut out some of the commentary and whatnot.
Even with the commentary, I think the average video is about 10 minutes. So they run the races run fairly quickly. So it's not like you don't have to invest a whole lot of time to actually watch it, which is great.
Sports fans must be hating this.
Marble racing sounds a lot funner to watch than some old fucking poker game.
Guilty pleasure. I actually like watching World Tournament of Poker sometimes. It's actually kind of amazing to watch.
It's okay to be wrong, Juice. It's okay.
I have watched poker tournaments when it's the only thing on. I also like watching darts for some reason.
Yeah, I do too. Actually, it's kind of weird.
180.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, I think we're gonna start seeing more interesting oddball sports, and it just occurs to me I've got a great long hallway for shuffleboard. That's marble racing. Let's hit up some Clone Wars. We started the Ahsoka story arc, and my memories of Clone Wars are fucking foggy to say the least. But did we pick up with Ahsoka's story right after her departure from the old show?
Yeah, it looks like it. So she's on the same speeder bike that she leaves the Jedi Temple with.
It might be a week later, but yeah, it's very, very close time.
Yeah, I would have to check her costume to see if that's what she left the temple wearing, I guess, to see if it was like directly after. But yeah.
Yeah, it is a different costume.
The overall she was wearing when she went down to level 1313 was different from her Jedi costume that she walked into the sunset.
Okay, but the thing for me here is that there wasn't a big gap of time. We more or less picked right up, and I like that.
Yeah, me too. I agree.
She made very mature decisions and felt like more like the anchor of the whole thing rather than being on Skywalker's heels for like 5 seasons where she's making like rookie mistakes and everything.
She feels
like
grown up now. She feels like she's growing up.
Very grown up.
Well, I mean, they effectively knighted her, right? So doesn't Mace or Yoda say that they would consider that her trial and that they would knight her?
I think that's correct, yeah. She should have given them the fucking finger on the way out. Like, it blows my mind, these Jedi, they can't, like, they recapped her trial and how she was a big frame up with Barrisoff and all that. And, like, these Jedi, they can't uncover a fucking conspiracy to save their lives. They're incompetent sometimes.
Hubris, man. Hubris. When you think you can see the future, then that future doesn't happen.
Well, they themselves admit in Revenge of the Sith that their ability to see the future
Read
with
the
the Force was clouded. So
I know Sith magic's supposed to obfuscate and obscure and everything, but I mean, you think a guy like Yoda would be within 10 miles of Palpatine and be like, holy fuck, there's a big dark hole in the Force near this asshole. Maybe something's up there.
My Sith Star is going off.
My Sith Star. Yeah, it's clearly where Karana learned it from. Was totally Palpatine. Totally Palpatine.
That's a Flynn genetic trait. It's going to be canon soon.
Gotcha. Glad I could learn it.
Yeah, it's going to come in handy. So as Juice mentioned, she went down to level 1313, which to me was just a bit of a twist of the knife after they canceled that fucking Boba Fett game.
Yeah, it's a huge nod to that. It's gotta be.
I know it's a nod, but it feels like a fuck you.
Hey man, we'll see what the Cassian Andor show is like, because that's gonna be, I think, pretty close to that.
I keep forgetting about that show, and every time I remember, I get really excited about it. So Ahsoka descends down to 1313, meets the Trace character, and I'm digging her sister a little less so, but what I dug about Trace is she is giving us the different perspective of the Jedi, one that I've long held with those Mandalorian books, that the Jedi are basically aristocratic meddlers who don't give a fuck who they're stepping on. And I like that they showed that perspective through her eyes.
Yeah, it was definitely nice to see a different perspective on the Star Wars universe and the grungier side, as it were.
And it was cool that despite her recent falling out with the Jedi, that Ahsoka kind of bit her tongue about it.
Yeah, I noticed that she didn't. I was half expecting Ahsoka to come up and start arguing for the Jedi Order more than she did. But apart from saying, "Well, the Jedi aren't like that," and
yeah, but she's hurt.
That's it.
Now, so. She's hurting, so yeah, I can see her not defending it. Plus, I think she's trying to hide the fact that she has Jedi training. She really didn't use her Force powers very frequently at all.
They did a good job of that in this episode because she was trying so hard not to use them, with the hand-to-hand combat, and they kept doing a back and forth. Like, is she going to use it? No, she doesn't have to. Wait, she's going to have to. Wait, maybe not.
Yeah, she could jump across and catch the droid here. Oh, no, she could just slow him down. No, just let him go.
I was really impressed. She didn't go all lightsabery on anything.
I don't think she has her sabers right now.
I didn't see them, no. I think the Ahsoka novel, which takes place a little later, I think it's canon because it's one of the new books, but she acquires new lightsabers, I think, from like a Sith or a Dark Jedi, but the blades are red, and it shows how she goes through a purifying thing, and that's why her sabers are white in Rebels, because she purified.
I thought she got them off Asajj Ventress. I thought those were Ventress's.
Nope. So I read the book last year, maybe. So basically, she's got to pick up some new sabers between now and the Siege of Mandalore arc, because she has sabers in those episodes. What they do is she and Rex fake her death at the end of the siege. Like they bury her lightsabers, yada yada, whatever, and she basically flees off into hiding. She goes to hide on like some sort of like Agramoon type thing, and she kind of gets by as like a mechanic slicer type deal, and she just kind of starts like hoarding components, like as a just in case I have to run again type deal. And she basically subconsciously gets all the parts she needs to build a lightsaber or her sabers back, except for the crystals, which, as Vinzer mentioned, she gets off of a Inquisitor and then purifies them white.
Good book. I liked it.
Yeah, it was really good.
So while she was fighting that crime boss's guys, did anyone notice she just straight up kicked that guy in the nuts, like straight up?
Yeah,
Yep,
last
not
month.
a moment's hesitation.
Thanks, Disney Plus.
And she took those two guys down with absolutely zero problems.
Oh,
I
yeah.
guess it's showing women how to defend themselves in some respects too, right?
Also, were those Lolth cats I saw running around in the underworld?
Yeah,
There were.
I said that, and I was like, wait a minute. We haven't even been to Lothal yet at this point. We don't know those exist.
But we saw them in The Mandalorian on I can't remember the name with the krill.
The jungle planet, yeah.
So apparently they're like the rodents of the universe. They get everywhere.
Yeah, I was wondering if they weren't native to Lothal, like you said, just rabbits. They got everywhere.
Yeah, but also wasn't there wolves or was there larger cats on Lothal that could travel? They did some sort of like force travel or something, dimensional travel. So maybe the cats have proliferated through the universe because they can slip through space.
Yeah, it's possible. And I mean, people just have pets and they bring them all over the galaxy, and sometimes they breed.
Yeah, I mean, they could pass items through use of the Force for Rise of Skywalker, so anything's possible.
Star Wars D&D players, you're going to have to be careful now because I'm going to be trying to somehow sneakily sell you guys a Type 2 binary load lifter.
God damn it.
Anyway, so related to the timing of this episode, and I thought it was a rumor at first, but a lot of places are reporting it now. Rosario Dawson cast as a live-action Ahsoka.
I think she can pull it off. She has the face structure. She's about the right age for what Ahsoka would be.
I think it's the voice that's going through everybody. We've gotten used to Ahsoka over the years.
But if you notice, in Clone Wars, her voice has a fairly high tenor. In Rebels, it's actually getting a little deeper. So I'm pretty sure by the time we hit... Yeah, age, exactly. So by the time we hit The Mandalorian, it'll probably be down to a point where the actress's voice will not be an issue.
Some people online were speculating that maybe they'll just get Ashley to voice the lines and they'll voice over Rosario Dawson, but I don't think they do that for such a high-profile actress.
No, I think that would be a little weird and actually off-putting. I think she's going to do fine on her own.
Like, I get it if maybe the character wore a helmet all the time, like Vader or Boba Fett, you know, what they did with David Prowse and what's his face, Jeremy Bulloch. But a character not wearing a helmet, they're not going to voice over.
And it might not be a big issue anyway. I mean, she might be in one episode for 2 minutes. We don't know.
So that's what I'm thinking, honestly. So I think Star Wars fans everywhere would audibly groan if Dave Filoni inserted her into another show for most of the episodes. So I think my theory is it's going to be like one episode of the entire season where basically he's out hunting for Jedi and happens to stumble across Ahsoka, and Ahsoka is the plot device so that he knows what the Force is.
If Ahsoka lays eyes on the child, she's going to know who that resembles, right? She might finally say the name Yoda, and I could just see Din being like, what's a Yoda?
And we might get Sabine in live action too, which would be cool. Because in theory, she and Sabine are hunting the galaxy for Ezra at this point.
This is opening some really cool doors and potential with this Ahsoka thing, and I think our theory about Bo-Katan is probably going to end up panning out. But this sets precedent that we could potentially see a live-action Sabine, which would make perfect sense in that show, and maybe in Ezra.
I saw somewhere that her voice actress, whose name I don't know off the top of my head, would be around the right age and body type, etc., to actually play the character in live action. So that would be kind of cool.
And that is one, if Sabine guest starred, they could get away with making sure the voice actress was the same because they don't have to take the helmet off, right?
And maybe we would finally get an explanation as to why nobody fucking takes their helmet off anymore.
Ooh, ooh, ooh. It's the way.
Shut up.
So let's just wait for the Siege of Mandalore to go poorly, and we'll have a throwaway line from some important Mandalorian going, we shouldn't take our helmets off anymore.
It's good. They're going to do that somewhere. They've had a long-term plan, I have no doubt. But I could see if they meet Sabine and she took her helmet off and Din said something, I could see Sabine, being the rebel that she is, rolling her eyes and going, ugh, no one does that.
Or that's not my way, or some dumb play on the this is the way.
Your clan does that. It's so stiff. And, I could just see her poo-pooing the shit out of that.
Yeah, for sure.
If anyone would, it would be her.
I mean, maybe what it was that, because we kind of have to bridge the gap between the pacifist Mandalore that we see during the Clone Wars and the presumably more militant Mandalorians we see in Rebels / the Mandalorian. So maybe the Siege of Mandalore will bend the Mandalorian people back to their previous warrior ways.
I'm confident they've had this figured out for a couple of years now, and we're just painfully waiting for all the connections.
4 more weeks, or 3 and a bit, whatever. So I think we do a 4-episode arc of Ahsoka just being Ahsoka before the Siege of Mandalore arc starts for the last 4 episodes, I think is what's going to happen.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, I'm down.
All right, let's dig into Picard.
So many things to dig into. Also, Brent Spiner was back, and that's great.
Oh, man, you hear his voice before you see him, and I was like, oh, shit.
Yeah, that was very nice to see. They actually, the showrunners did a pretty damn good job keeping his second role under wraps until this episode aired.
I didn't really like that it was like, LOL, I'm his son, and look exactly the same as he does.
Yeah.
Kind of a cop-out.
I'm cool with Sung having a son, and we didn't hear about him, but it does feel like it was kind of plopped, kind of parachuted in. I noticed when they were initially landing on the planet, and they were under attack, the last arena was under attack, he had everyone strap in, and I'm like, this little ship doesn't have any IDS. No inertial dampener fields.
I agree, but I mean... But
nothing had dampeners. They were always bouncing around on every ship.
Well, I guess you would have to have one go into warp or you'd be turned to jello.
Somebody finally thought of safety for a second.
Well, if you read tech manuals and such, I mean, even with the internal dampers on the galaxies and such, I mean, if you're going to start violently going back and forth, they're not going to have enough power to keep you sort of stable. So yes, you're going to bounce around and forth a bit.
To me, it was just the way they called attention to it. And I thought back on the TNG days where the ship's bouncing around and Riker's holding on to the bottom of his seat on the bridge. I'm sure he would have appreciated a little safety webbing.
Yeah, I agree. Like, you could definitely picture, I know it wouldn't look very cinematic or whatever, but picture Picard sitting in his chair in the Enterprise, and suddenly, it's shaking around and he just falls out on the floor because there's nothing keeping him in the chair. If
he had a seatbelt and he had to stand up, in a video conference or something, forgot he was wearing, he'd be like, oh, fuck.
Funny piece of trivia, Enterprise E, the captain's chair, does have a seatbelt.
Picard's just an old man from the 80s who doesn't use seatbelts.
And it's used. I think it was used in the very last TNG movie. I remember correctly.
I don't remember the different. So when we start the Next Generation, that's the Enterprise C, right?
D.
Okay.
C had a guest shot in an episode.
Right. Okay. Cool. And then by the end of the movies, we're on what?
E.
We only go through 2 Enterprises that entire time?
Yeah, so the Enterprise C was the ambassador class that was lost defending the Klingon colony from Romulans and was the basis for the Klingons and the Federation to do the peace treaty. D was the whole TNG series and the original series / Next Generation crossover movie to go from one to the next. That's when they blew D. They basically crashed D onto a planet. And then by the second movie, which was just purely TNG, they had Enterprise E, which was a Sovereign class vessel and much more powerful than the D version. And that ship basically remained throughout the rest of the movie series.
Sweet. Thank you for the history lesson. I am knee deep in the NX-01 right now.
Oh, very good. Not
No
an
bloody A, B, C, or D.
I understood that reference.
Yeah, Enterprise was really an underrated Trek show. There definitely was some groaners, but there actually was a fair amount of good episodes in it. So it's kind of sad that it only went like 4 seasons and got poo-pooed by a lot of people because it actually was pretty decent.
Still getting poo-pooed by me.
We had a bit of a side conversation before we started because I was talking about it.
Well, as I said before, everyone has their favorites, so there you go.
So unrelated, going back to the episode, does anybody think those flower orbital defenses is the stupidest weapon you've ever heard of?
Yes.
So let's just think. There are ships in orbit who want to hurt you, and you're basically just going to latch onto them and bring them down to the planet. You're not going to kill any of the people, but so they're going to be able to mount a ground assault against you, but they won't be able to fire on you from orbit.
Those things would have worked better for me if they'd just been naturally occurring life forms in that sector of space, not created by the colony.
Yeah, that would have made more sense, I think. Plus, they
It's a
trashed the
hippie
border.
colony. Oh my god. It's so hippie.
Oh
It's
my God, you're so
let's
right.
shoot them with
I'm just-
flowers. Flower power.
I'm going to watch it again, see if there's like a hookah around.
All I could think
Look at
of
them
during that
express.
part was like, what would be really great to help us defend against these 200 and whatever Romulan warbirds? A fully functional Borg cube. You didn't just crash into your planet.
No kidding.
Yeah, I was kind of half hoping that the cube would remain in orbit and sacrifice itself to defend the synthetics while they escaped.
I'm
would've-
willing to
that
bet
would've
they
been a
find a
real-
way.
I think they're going to get that thing fired up in the last episode. I don't have any doubt on that. I enjoyed when it came through the trans warp conduit, though, and Rios was like, that's unexpected.
Yeah, that was pretty awesome. That was a really good shot. So the other thing I really liked was one. So for all the Android pairs, they actually cast a bunch of twins for it, as opposed to
they
getting the
really?
same person to play
Yeah.
2 characters,
That's
with the exception
great.
of Soji and Evil Soji. I'm pretty sure. I don't think she's an actual twin. And I really liked how they were very clearly like different levels of human likeness. With the data eyes, with the contacts, and some of them had like the bronzier, glistenier skin. I thought it was all very well done to show like the evolution of what Sung and what's his face had been building.
So the big thing happened in this episode. I didn't think it would, but it did. Picard cursed. I mean, it was a mild curse, but he cursed.
I'm sure it was
Finally.
bound to happen.
Yeah, it did seem almost. When it happened, it didn't register, but it was like, that seems weird.
But we now know that whatever's going on with him is, in fact, terminal.
I have
That's
a
true.
feeling he's going to, if there's a season 2, he's going to end up in the Golem, not soon.
Oh, that'd be cool. I hadn't even thought of that.
Ooh, pull a little Age of Ultron switch.
I mean, you can certainly do that with that special
Yeah.
effects. But I
But-
mean, the actual him moving around and like acting like a 60 or 50-year-old is not going to happen.
You could say that it's in his programming because his mind is going to say, this is the way we move, and that's how he moves. Additionally, the Golem, if you look, all the skin was completely transparent. They haven't given it an image yet, which is what made me think he'd end up in there because they could just make it look like Picard. And I'm sure they've developed technology. Well, we know they can do realistic skin because Soji has realistic skin. And they were very fascinated by his wrinkles. Remember that they said it told a story? So I could see them working that in because they made a point of that too. So that all makes me think they're going to do it.
The answer is glaringly obvious. They're just going to bring in McAvoy from the X-Men movies and play young Picard.
Clearly, that would be the answer.
Oh, the other Easter egg they threw in for us, Spot 2. Hello.
Oh, yeah.
I did chuckle.
Same here. And then found out it was an android. They're making androids of everything.
So I guess now we're going to go call the Reapers to come in and exterminate all organic life, right?
That's what it sounded like to me.
Well,
Oh, it
yeah.
better not end the way Mass Effect 3 ended.
I mean, If you pick the destroy option, sure.
Now, I think one of the most interesting things about this episode to me was an android performed a mind meld. And if that is not an overwhelming case for proving sentience, I don't know what is.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of weird.
Because I'm trying to figure out exactly how a machine could interact with organic life to do something like that.
It's not even a machine. It's a telepathic machine.
Exactly.
You need telepathy to do a mind meld.
Which is why I think that it proves that these things have souls and they're completely sentient, just like they're just another form of life, but they have a mind of their own. Otherwise, it wouldn't work.
Like, I was picturing they're going to hook her up to some sort of machine that can look at her memory engrams or some dumb bullshit like that. Not, LOL, we have a person here who can conveniently mind meld with you.
Who's also slightly crazy.
I don't think she's slightly crazy. I think she's just full on crazy.
She's pretty sinister, yeah.
I mean, she'd probably be a bit jaded after, her sister got killed.
Well, it's not like the first time we've seen an evil android. Remember lore.
Sure.
Actually, I'll tell you one thing. For a split second when Brent Spiner's character appeared on screen, I was like, oh my god, is that lore leading this race of androids?
Oh man, that would have been a twist.
A terrifying twist, but yes.
They did a little throwback to Spock there after the mind meld, and she says, fascinating.
Oh yeah, they didn't they? Huh?
Did she do the eyebrow? I didn't notice.
I did notice that Soji did a slight head tilt earlier in the episode, though.
Yeah, those data mannerisms.
I'm not sure if we could actually compare the data looking Soji as lore. When lore was created, I mean, he went pretty much evil from the get-go. This Soji, I think, is more working her way towards it because she wants to save her brothers and sisters from annihilation and has logically concluded the only way to do that is to get rid of everything that might want to hurt them. Hence the extermination of all life in the galaxy type of thing.
She has a realistic and understandable motivation, even if it does seem evil. Yeah, you're right.
Does anybody remember her name? Because I know it's not evil Soji.
It's Sutra, S-U-T-R-A. So, speaking of Picard, I was kind of amused how he basically gives this big sanctimonious speech of I will save you, and then Brent Spiner's character says, the fuck you will. You can't save shit.
Yeah, he took him down.
So, my question is that if the Talavash, or whatever the heck, the super secret Romulan sect... Yes, thank you. If they're this super secret Romulan sect of people who hate AI, where the fuck did they get all these warbirds from?
I was thinking that too, that for a species that has had its homeworld destroyed, been utterly decimated, they are pretty damn busy and resourceful.
Yeah, I think, well, we've already seen that the Zavash have somebody high up in Starfleet, so they've been building towards getting people in key positions of powers for years. So the reason they could pull together so many warships is because, what did he refer to as their admiral or something, commander? So she's a high rank person. She's definitely gone up the ranks, and it's probably Tal Shiar as well, right? Because then they'd want to infiltrate the secret police of the Romulans. So
yeah, that makes sense.
Also, keep in mind it's 30 years since Romulus blew up. I'm sure they've. As we've seen, they are able to get a cube and run a fairly sophisticated reclamation project. I'm sure they'd be able to build 200 ships in the space of 30 years.
That's a fair point. It has been 30 years. Keep forgetting that.
Oh, and speaking of the cube, how about when they boarded the ship and one of the XBs looked at Picard and said, "Locutus"?
You got to think he's like, stop fucking calling me that.
Oh, and there's the budding romance between Anna and Rios.
Agnes and Rios, yes.
Jesus, I can't get names right tonight.
What's your name again?
It's yeah.
Mallory Carmine.
Yeah, just not Clayton.
Oh, shut up. I'm never living that one down. Give a guy one wrong name in the credits, and that was like almost 10 years now. Jesus.
What you gonna do?
Laugh about it.
Oh, so here's an article that. Sorry, slightly off topic. Flipping back to the Mandalorian for a split second. Merida just flipped me an article in which Michael Biehn is joining the second season as another bounty hunter. For those who don't know who that is, he played Kyle Reese in the 1984 The Terminator film. Or
Hicks,
Corporal
come
Hicks in
That's
Aliens.
Corporal fucking Hicks. I am super excited to hear that.
That'll be interesting.
I hope he tries to nuke something from orbit.
He is supposedly playing a bounty hunter who the Mando who has had past dealings with.
Oh,
It's
man.
the only way to be safe.
He's going to make an awesome bounty hunter. He's still badass. Back in the 90s, I don't know if anyone remembers Wizard magazine. It talked about all geeky stuff back then before we really had
Oh,
internet.
yes.
Remember Wizard? They every month or so they would do dream fan casting of movies before we even had the first X-Men, and one of them said Michael Biehn for Cyclops, and I thought that was bang on.
Yeah, I remember now that you brought it up. It's like as soon as you said casting, it's like, yeah, he was Cyclops, wasn't he? Yeah, man, I had a subscription to that magazine.
Oh man, that was the best thing ever before the internet came along. I don't know. I don't think it's around anymore, but I think it kept going for quite a long time.
It may be in a digital format. I think they still do the comic book ratings.
Yeah, in the back they had all what your comics were worth. You thought they were valuable, and they were shit.
I used to own Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man number 398 and 399.
First appearance
Which,
Carnage.
No, first appearance of Venom.
398?
I think it's 398, 399 are a two-parter. It was either 398, 399 or 498, 499. I can't remember.
That high up's got to be Carnage. Venom was introduced much earlier.
Okay, then it
Maybe
was
maybe.
Yeah, I used to own those two, and I've been told if I kept them, they've been worth a lot of money.
Now, was the first appearance of Venom or the first appearance of the Black Spider-Man suit? Because there is a big difference.
Venom. Definitely was Venom, because in the last page, I remember reading through this. The last page, you see Mary Jane asking if that was Peter that had just come back, and the thing comes out of the shadows with the big ass tongue and says, "No, not Peter."
298, 300.
Thank you.
Back in 1984, when Transformer Comics was starting up and when it was still technically a 4-issue limited series, in the third issue, Gears from the Autobots goes to infiltrate the Decepticon base, and Peter Parker is there and tags along with them. And this is when he got in the black suit, the Venom suit, before it was Venom from the Secret Wars. And there's a panel where he goes, "Oh, this new suit is great. I just have to think about it, and it comes on to me." And I'm like, years later.
Freezing!
And of course, the biggest motor mouth in the Marvel Universe gets teamed up with the grumpiest Autobot in the Generation 1.
I'd love to read that.
The only other thing I think we didn't cover in Picard was Raffi's emotional "I love you" to Jean-Luc, and he returned it, but at first I thought he was just going to go with the "okay then" and walk away.
Yeah, that was awkward as fuck. And I'm sure it was supposed to be, but it just felt like I'm watching it like cringing internally.
It was cringy. Well, did we forget anything from the android hippie commune?
They let the ex-boyfriend out so that he could stab other girl in the eye. So really, is the mind meld person really, the needs of the one over the needs of the many, or the needs of the many over the needs of the one, as it were?
Yeah, I'm not sure if he stabbed her or if she stabbed her to make a point that we had to do this.
Even if she didn't, she knew what was going to happen. So that's a alignment tracking towards the evil side.
I'm just curious what she has sent Narek off to do.
Well, he's running towards the cube, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but to do what? That's what I'm afraid of.
Might be a power struggle to activate the Borg's weapons and get them on the Romulan side.
Or find a way of self-destructing the cube to make it look like they're still trying to attack them on the planet.
It's not like they have to even get that thing in the air. They just need to aim its guns.
Pretty much.
Well, season finale is this Thursday. pretty stoked.
I got my 2 bottles of Chateau Picard on Monday, so I will be watching that Friday night with a glass of red.
That's pretty awesome. Yeah, we'll watch it probably Friday night. That's our usual Picard night. So we do Picard and then we do Rebels right after. So it's also pulled pork nacho night, which is very exciting.
Ooh, nice.
All right, I'm going to bag it up for the night, guys. Thank you again so much.
Peace out, y'all. Nice to talk to other human beings.
Talk to you soon, guys.
Au revoir.